Welcome for another episode, Live from the Heart podcast. I'm Anne-Claire Meret, and today we will record a beautiful episode with my friend Fabrice, the legendary Fabrice. Let's call him this way. You like it, I think.
I'll have it.
And together we've already done quite a lot of podcasts in French and in English. So if you're curious, please just find the other ones because they're amazing. We love to talk about how to um, lift the veil of the lies that are in this world so that we can tap into what feels like the truth for us and help you find out what's the truth for you. Thank you, Fabrice, for making yourself available today. You are across the world. I'm in Bali, you're in the US, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me again. And yeah, I feel that's a good gig. Beyond our friendship, I feel that the conversations we are sharing are really inspiring and helping our brothers and sisters to piece um, new ideas and, you know, really break through some kind of limitations, or sometimes realize that many people think in a similar way than they do, but it's just not so confirmed in their immediate group of friends and peer group. So thank you for having me. I'm delighted to talk about cool subjects. I'm here in
That's
Oregon.
awesome. Yeah, can you please just set the frame and tell a little bit about who you are for people who haven't listened to the other episodes?
Dang, that's always the hardest part for me, but I would say I'm just another you for a start. I'm asking questions, and yeah, I left France when I was 23. I went with my bestie for a year to Australia, and that 1 year turned into 10, during which I had amazing quantum leaps, and my belief system was totally shattered and reconstructed. So I would call that the hero's journey. And then after 10 years in Australia, I moved to Indonesia in beautiful Bali for 8 years. So what I've done over those years is mostly a big segment was healing. Then I moved into, detox, fasting. All of that was still part of the healing, the physical and the emotional. Then I moved into all the breath work, the plant medicine. I was doing a ton of meditation as well. And so in the last 7 years, it's been more working more with energy, rather than needing a tool. It's just kind of tuning with the avatar as a technology, the physical body as a technology. So I'm just another you, fam, asking questions, sniffing out and denouncing the bullshit, and finding the other people who hold the light and who wants to co-create some cool stuff together.
I love it. Thank you so much. So this time we've received some questions from the community and I send them to you. What would you like to answer first? What do you feel like talking about first?
Um, Someone was asking about incarnation in this world. And incarnation is probably the subject I'd like to, start with today, because in my world for the last 15 years solid, most of my peer group have came to similar conclusion that we are an eternal life that just keeps on being birthed, living, having experiences, dying or transitioning, and then coming back. And we seems to be doing this as long as we need, until we can really establish ourselves into presence, into the eternal now, and really um, unplug ourselves from the matrix, which is something we hear a lot. The construct, the soul school that we call Earth. So, for me, incarnation was not always obvious. In fact, when I was in my 20s, I just thought it was just a lot of bullshit, and like everything that you cannot prove or disprove, it's very subjective, and it's let's say a tool for people to think and reflect. That's what it is. But then as I started to dive deeper into plant medicine and certain kind of meditations and energetic activations and stuff like that, I really started to have undeniable clues of who I have been in the past and who some of my friends today or lovers that I've had in the past, or the wife, that I have. What is our connection actually, and how is it that we keep on continuously supporting the familia and the people that, in one life you are a lover, in one life you're the son, the daughter, the father, the neighbor, whatever. But it seems there's a theme with the 10, 20 people the closest to your heart. Each lifetime there is a theme, and it's like, yeah, we've journeyed together before. So that idea of incarnation, for me, it's not, again, everything we will discuss today, there is no finality, but we can share at least how far we've discovered ourselves, how far we've met ourselves on the subject, right? So the idea of incarnation is that at the moment of conception, when two adults, when two parents hopefully consciously make love to invite a kid, but if not, it's also cool, people are inviting a life into the mom's belly. And so when does this life actually start? Is it right at the moment where, you know, the bodily fluids merge? Or is it like 2 months in, 6 months in, just when the baby is born? Like, clearly it's not just when the baby is born. We know that already because babies are responding to all kind of stimulus, to light, to sound, to music, to touch. So what I've realized is that actually life itself is an energy. It's all the frequencies possible and imaginable. And when we incarnate, we now have a vessel or a container, and every human being is going to have certain specific frequencies as a setup. So incarnation actually happens throughout our entire life. And what I mean by that is the more present we can be, the more we can actually pay attention to what life is trying to teach us. And so how we play and how we engage with life has everything to do with how present we can be. Because if we are always thinking of the past or what we have to do later today or tomorrow, we cannot fully be here in the moment. And the moment is all we will ever have, this moment, and then the next moment and the next moment. But it's always now. It's always here now. So incarnation is a fascinating subject. And I realized the more you can incarnate yourself, then the more magnetic you become, the more your aura grow, the more life seems to give you to play with. Oh, you can chew on that? Okay, how about we add more and more complexity and more challenge? Um, and hopefully, if we stay in our truth, if we dial in our inner compass, and I mean, you definitely some of the world expert on the subject, to dial in with your heart, to lead from your heart, to be paying attention to what the heart is saying. Such a difficult thing when we are in survival or very busy, right? But those of us who can use our inner compass, then we're going to incarnate more and more and more of our full potential. So for me, incarnation is a process. And as long as we are stuck in survival, in drama, in pain, in generating all those negative emotions, spirit cannot come more than it already is. And as we start to heal, to open the heart, to forgive, to humble ourselves, for sure, we're creating space in the cup, and spirit, which is yours in this life, and Claire is a specific mix of frequencies. That's why there is just one Anne Claire. And Fabrice is slightly different. We are in the same bandwidth. Let's say we play the same kind of music. Maybe it's rock and roll or emo if you're like a millennial or whatever. Maybe it's classical
It's
music.
R&B.
It's R&B. It's groovy. Let's be clear. Um, yeah, it's the good stuff. But so basically you incarnate as you incarnate. You're gonna have to be in resonance with people who play the same music, and so the hardest for a human is to wake up from this amnesia and start to come in the eternal now. So for me, it's a fascinating subject, and I would say that in due time, each of us we will have very potent dreams or even daydreams or hints. If we need a piece from the past, it will be revealed to us so that we can continue the work where we left it at and continue the mission if it's necessary. Otherwise, to my knowledge, each incarnation is distinct. And so when we talk about soul is such a big word and a big subject, and it's super abstract, and it means something different for everyone. But studying Hinduism and working with those Balinese high priests for the last 3-4 years, their model makes a lot of sense to me intuitively. And how they explain this is every incarnation is a soul, and so if you incarnate 50 times, you have those 50 souls, which is a ledger or the recording of all your experiences in that lifetime. That's one soul, you know. And then there is life, the source, the one. But it's an interesting distinction. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
May I give a resource? I'm going to give a resource. I really enjoyed the book. I don't know if you read it, Many Lives, Many Masters from Brian Weiss. Do you
I
know
have
him?
not. No.
It's a beautiful book because the guy was a psychotherapist, I think, and he went into hypnosis, and he was doing really like classical hypnosis, and then he heard about regression, and he tried it. I think he came across it by mistake in his practice, and then he
Mm,
was starting to dive deeper. And this book was amazing, Many Lives, Many Masters, and it tells the stories of visiting past lives and visiting the in between past lives with his clients, and it was amazing. So that led me to then do hypnosis with Caroline Marijanne, that you also know, and I've done
yes.
many sessions with her. And one interesting anecdote is that quite often when she was asking me who's there, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, it feels like Fabrice and Thomas. And I think I've had other past lives with you and Thomas, and together we've definitely been working together before.
I mean, this was revealed to me too in early of our friendship, and yeah, it's you keep it to your heart, but you may see some visuals, you may have some very clear pieces, and it's wonderful because it feels like life gives us this gift to remember, yeah, the others and who have been we've been helping each other for so long. Basically, it's so
Yeah.
so fulfilling to remember that.
Yeah. Do you want to give a key, something that has helped you along your journey about figuring out why you incarnated here and what's your life purpose and something like that? Like some resources that have helped you explore?
Yes, so as you know, Anne Claire, I'm really hands-on. Um, for me, the direct experience is everything, and I usually go there first. And I like a good book or a brilliant mind here and then to help me to put things into context, to help me articulate certain things. Um, but for me, just doing a lot of water fasting, a lot of meditation in a dark room for 11 days, and plenty of vipassana stuff like that. Not plenty, four, but when you sit for 10 days in silence, for sure something is going to happen to you. When you take plant medicine, which I don't necessarily recommend, but if you need a catalyst to come out of a sort of you feel you stuck somewhere in your life and you don't see any solutions from that level of consciousness, that's because we need more energy. And from that platform with more energy, we can see things differently and come up with different strategies, different. So in that context, many of us who needs healing, trauma release, who need to get out of a career where we feel stuck or relationship that's dry, then yeah, just try everything that feels in alignment with you. If all of a sudden all your friends are talking about ayahuasca and it's a reasonable original shaman and not that white dude who just, I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but like every
Yeah.
spiritual things we will talk about that today, but like there is the shadow, there is the ridicule, there is the abuse. So we just need to use the heart and the intuition to make sure, is this tool really for me, or am I trying too hard from my mind? That's what I would suggest basically.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for talking about that, because it's very popular today, plant medicine,
mhm,
and a lot of people want to do it as a shortcut, like to really dive into something deep. And I think sometimes we underestimate the consequences of it, and how coming back to the world as it is today might not be so easy. And what I've seen from people around me, I've seen people who've done a lot of plant medicine and for whom it's kind of difficult to live in this world now. And they feel
mhm,
drained and they feel tired. And I would have thought that people who've done so much healing on themselves would be actually thriving now, but I don't see them thriving for most of them. And
mhm.
can you let me know what's your take on that?
Yeah, whew, that's a big, big topic, this one, and Claire, and trying to be loving and respectful, because, of course, I have a lot of friends still to date who are in that. They call it medicina. It makes it so much more charming. We don't call it drugs, we call it medicina. But it is a drug in the sense that it is altering our consciousness. It's opening our chakras. It's not magnifying, but it's amplifying our field, our aura, our morphogenetic field. When we open the avatar, which is a technology, like you say, we are multidimensional beings, and if you don't understand the map, perhaps it's not wise to go there, fam. Now, we all need to learn by making mistakes and adjustments. So I'm not gonna to be patronizing anyone. I've had my bunch of trials and errors and mistakes. But it is very, very true. Most people who get into the plant medicine realm, first, it may be the first time of their life that they feel like they belong somewhere, that they're doing something super spatial, super sacred. So initially, it feels like the truth. It feels like, wow, this is the coolest thing that I've ever experienced. And the journeys are incredibly expanding. They give us different perceptions. They may help us to heal. But just like anything else, if we stay stuck with any modality, that's because humans have an addictive nature. So it doesn't matter if it's chocolate, if it's sex, if it's plant medicine. A lot of brothers and sisters, the first few times, they have all those breakthroughs. The light, the spirit is coming stronger than ever in their body. They have the light in their eyes, and they feel that they've arrived somewhere. But then a few years later, their brain is not working the same, and it's they are dysfunctional in the sense it's hard for them to relate to the 3D world, and they tend to believe that they have arrived somewhere that's so spiritual, but then their relationship is not working so well, or their financials are completely out of whack. And again, I don't want to make some generalities. Some people truly have this calling. They were shamans in the past life. In this life, they continue. So, I honor that. But yeah, there is a hype. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be the cool kid putting the feathers on their head and singing. And it's an entertainment thing too. It's a people want to. We play. That's what we do. We're all playing some kind of role. But my pick on that is when the flower falls, the fruit is ready. Okay, so when you see a tree, beautiful tree full of flowers, eventually those flowers are going to fall on the ground. And the fruit is coming next. So people who are so attached to plant medicine as the truth, people who are so attached to yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Vinyasa yoga, no, this one is the original, no, this one is from the Himalayan masters, you know, then we get into that spiritual ego, which is also a question today. So it's a good bridge there, but we go in that spiritual ego where we think intellectually that we have found the last level, the end game, the end boss, the final boss. And my experience is there is no finality because we are infinite beings. So if we become the tool, we miss the forest for the trees. We become then used by it. And just that you can access the exact same realms and frequencies and visions with meditation than if you take plant medicine. But plant medicine is 4 hours away and $222 or $333. But jokes aside, it's like taking shortcuts only works 2 or 3 times to help you remember that frequency. Once you remember the frequency, it's the hero's journey is to go and develop ourselves to access that on demand. But plant medicine, just like LSD, I only took LSD maybe 10 times in my life, but I had the most incredible breakthroughs. Same with mushrooms. So the issue with what we call a drug is that they do deplete the physical body. Long term, they do cause imbalances, and yeah, it's not healthy, fam. So if you're really committed to the mysticism and the unseen and figuring out what energy is and all of that, just give yourself 20, 30, 40, 50 years because you're just going to have to get better and better at it. But it's not, you don't go to Peru for 2 weeks and fix all your problems. So that's what I think about all of that. And Claire, needless to say, I had so many beautiful sisters, you know, men and women in those containers. It can get very easily replaying trauma and drama and all the eros, all the sexual entanglement, projections. So whoever is holding the space needs to be really pure of heart and really intentional. And unfortunately, that's not what I've seen in my 15 years in the, in those communities. So there are some elders and some masters, but there's also a lot of bullshit, and it has become a monetary gig. So I'm feeling very disconnected about using a plant, but that's also because I have finally find a way for me to access, without it, But yeah, 17 years of meditation for me is what helped me getting there. In the first few years, I was craving for experiences and not much was happening. So I also understand that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. I feel that one of the key is curiosity and really be truly curious about what's possible without substances and patience, because everything comes with commitment and patience, and life reveals the gems when we are ready to know about them.
It's
Yeah.
so easily said, Anne Claire, but it's so profound. It's like we feel in a hurry to go places to become someone, and then we make the wrong choices along the way, which then send us back. You see often people having similar partners, archetypes, or going from one shitty job to another shitty job to another shitty job, and until we interrupt the pattern. So less is more, and slowing down is really helping us to grow faster on a 10-year period. But it's very hard for our brothers and sisters to even project ourselves 10 years in the future. Most of us, like, next week is already too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing that, because everybody wants to go fast. But we underestimate who we can be in a few years, even five. We change. I'm so different than 5 years ago, and I guess you are too. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, this is amazing. If we're just curious about who we can be and truly commit to growth and change and meeting ourselves in various ways, it will be revealed. We don't need those shortcuts, which are sometimes damaging and that takes time to repair or to come back to some kind of groundedness.
Yes, yes, Anne Claire. And just on that, like for me personally, my motto is balance. Balance. Okay. So I usually I don't take any polarized views saying plant medicine is bad, don't do it ever, or plant medicine is the truth, brother, let's aho. I don't do that. I'm somewhere on the middle. Okay, do it 2 or 3 times, get a sense of what it is for yourself, how it get the direct experience that will lead you to the wisdom that you hold. So my approach is to try. For me, how I find balance is most of my life was through extremes and swinging from one side to the next of the pendulum. Eventually I recognized that bigger pattern. Now I don't need to swing all the way to understand I'm going too far out of my, what's sustainable and healthy. So it took me a few years to hack this one. But similarly, if you can do acid once in your life, or take some shrooms, or sit with a beautiful, authentic shaman once in your life, then why not? It is a very meaningful experience. I don't want to condemn that. I think what you were really asking is like, yeah, there is a hype now. Have you done your ayahuasca? Is in the first 10 minutes when people meet each other as if it was like some kind of like, have you done bufo? Have you done this? Have you done that? It's like, yeah, we don't want to hurt ourselves, and some people really do. Actually, some people split their psyche and stay stuck for 10 years. So what
Yeah.
was initially a shortcut becomes then a 10, 15 years lesson on itself. So
Thank you. Well, that was a lot. I think we can stop there for this first episode, and then we can open a new chapter in the next episode so that it stays easy to snack for people who are listening to us going to work or on a walk or something like that. Thank you, Fabrice. Do you have a final word on this topic?
yes, brothers and sisters, you are the medicine. You yourself, your experience, your life, your heart, you are the medicine. So how you show up every day with your words, with your actions, actually reveals who you truly are. So just know that you are the medicine and you don't need much of it.
Thank you. Thank
Cool.
you so much.
See you in the next
If
one.
you've enjoyed this episode, I invite you to share it and to also give it 5 stars on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts because it helps us being more visible. And we will see you in the next episode that we're going to record right now.